If you know what opportunities Apple CarPlay provides and how to use them, you can make your life much easier during everyday driving. Especially nowadays when mobility services are super popular and you can drive different car-sharing cars and you can access same interface for managing multimedia and navigation regardless of the manufacturer of the car. Today, using CarPlay while driving, we will understand what are the technologies behind the ability to show your maps on the car infotainment screen, how to connect CarPlay, how Siri facilitates driving, what settings and additional functions are available, what are the main problems you can encounter while using CarPlay and how to solve these issues, and what is CarPlay 2.0. As a cherry on top, I will answer the question when finally YouTube will be available on CarPlay. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss new videos. I create practical videos about cars, mobility services and automotive technologies. Don't forget to share your opinion about the video at the end of it and give me your like if you enjoyed watching it. How does CarPlay work in general? This technology was introduced by Apple 10 years ago, and the idea is that using mostly the resources of your phone, you can mirror various applications from your phone to the car infotainment screen. And here lies the important point. The developer of the application should adapt it to Apple guidelines so that this application can be seen on the CarPlay screen. I hope it answers the question why this or that application available on your phone is not available on the CarPlay screen. Everything you see here is an application adapted to it by guys from Apple directly, or applications adapted to CarPlay by third-party developers. There are two main ways to connect your phone to the CarPlay: wired and wireless. Nowadays, more and more cars are produced with wireless Apple CarPlay connection, whereas old cars usually support only the wire connection. At the same time, even on some modern cars, Apple CarPlay is not always available. Sometimes the automaker just didn't care about the license for CarPlay for some of the models. Another case is when Apple CarPlay is only available for money, for example, as it works on BMW. To use the wired method, take the original Apple cable, connect it to the car's USB port, connect it to your phone, wait for a while. Usually there will be an offer on your infotainment screen to configure Apple CarPlay. Agree, confirm the same thing on your phone, and voila. If the automatic magic hasn't happened, just go to the phone settings of your car and then select Apple CarPlay there for your connected phone. Wireless connection requires a combination of two things: Bluetooth activated and Wi-Fi activated. Bluetooth technology is used for initial pairing of two devices, basically car and your phone, and Wi-Fi is used for fast data transmission between devices. The process is similar to what you are doing with the cable connection. First, connect your phone to your car as a regular Bluetooth device, after which you will be prompted by your phone to set up a CarPlay. Agree and enjoy the power of modern technologies. There is also a scenario when using a wired CarPlay, you will be prompted by your phone to switch to the wireless option, but it's up to you to decide which one is the best for you. In general, each option has its pros and cons. The wired option gives you the fastest data transmission and least delay in showing all the information. And while you have to plug in your cable every time you jump into the car, it at the same time charges your phone and compensates the energy required to show everything on your CarPlay screen. Wireless connection is for sure convenient because there are no wires. Your phone can be even in your bag or in your pocket when you jump to the car if it's already paired with your car. You just start driving and that's it. However, there are some downsides starting from the delay of data transmission. For example, it can affect the convenience of navigation because you can miss your turn, or audio playback can look weird because you will switch the track. Here, the name of the track will be changed, but the audio will be switched a few seconds later. Also, because of the use of Wi-Fi, you cannot use your phone as a personal hotspot. For example, you are on vacation with your family, you bought some data plan for your phone, and you want to share it with your family members, but you won't be able to do that because the Wi-Fi channel will be blocked with CarPlay usage. So you have to use wired option. And the biggest problem is overheating. It all depends from the car model, but for example, in most of the cars I used wireless CarPlay, my phone overheats all the time. And actually both of them, the old iPhone and the newest one. And this Citroen is the first car where it works fine in wireless mode. And the whole situation worsened by wireless charging, because it also overheats your phone. Sometimes it's even recommended to turn off wireless charging while using wireless CarPlay, especially in hot weather. I personally prefer to use wired connection when possible, but here, again, it's the first car where I started using the wireless connection. For example, in all Volkswagen cars, my phone overheats. Additionally, there are some third-party devices that can be used to help you get CarPlay into your car. For example, if your car is super old, you install new head unit, for example, from Sony or from Pioneer or other brands, and some of them support CarPlay. Or I know that people are buying adapters to turn the wired connection into wireless one. I never used that one, so if you use some of these devices, please share your experience in the comments. And of course, greetings to all Tesla users who don't have access to Apple CarPlay and had to install special screens. Sorry for that. We understood this technology, phone is connected. What's next? We see quite familiar Apple design, but highly adapted for use in cars. All buttons are big enough to be pressed with an outstretched hand. Depending on which side you have the steering wheel on, the side panel will be on the left side or the right side. This panel displays the time, cellular signal, phone battery level, voice control sign. We can activate focus mode and see the sign. Then there are 3 latest used apps from the Apple CarPlay, and this button behaves differently depending on the situation. It usually opens a list of all applications. For example, let's imagine that we opened Maps and we want to return to the list of all applications, then we will go there with this button. But a few years ago, Apple added a new CarPlay screen, which displays a combined view showing you the map, the multimedia, sometimes there will be also current call if it takes place, and calendar events. And as you can see, to go to the screen, the button changes its appearance and makes a reference to the earlier home buttons on old iPhones. An important element of navigation is the exit from CarPlay to the home screen of the multimedia system of your car, and then obviously the way back to the CarPlay. The first option is a separate menu item where you will see, for example, the name of your car. For BMW, it will be BMW, for Audi, it will be Audi, etc., etc. In my Ford, I see the button with Ford sign there. Sometimes you will have physical buttons to go home, like in the Citroen, and in this case, you won't have the software button. You just click this one and you are in the main screen of your car infotainment system. And usually there will be a shortcut to go back to the CarPlay. On this Citroen you will have this Apple CarPlay sign at the top. You click it and you are back into CarPlay screen. But that's not all the functions of this little button. Recently the ability to hold the home button in the menu to call Siri has been added, like this. Additionally, and in my opinion more convenient, you can call up Siri clicking this button on the steering wheel, if you have one on your car. Usually these buttons work in such a way that by a short press you activate the regular car voice assistant, which is not working here, and by holding it you will see the Siri. Also, if you have voice activation of Siri, you can just call it using standard Hey Siri command. What you can do?
You can ask me to find businesses, get directions, or make phone calls. I can also play music, create reminders, and send texts for you.
In addition, you can ask Siri to open a specific application inside CarPlay, or, for example, to route through a specific navigation application if you have several of them. Also, Siri's recommendation mechanism can, for example, offer you an option to open the garage door on the main screen here when you arrive at your location, if you have smart home set up with Apple Home. To test how Siri works, we'll use it while exploring various apps in CarPlay in the next few minutes. So the main functions, as it's already clear from Siri's capabilities, are navigation, calls, messages, music, calendar, and reminders. Let's start with the navigation. In addition to the standard Apple Maps, you can use Google Maps, Waze, Yandex Maps, Maps.me, and these are just the apps I remember. Depending on the country, of course, different applications may make more sense to be used based on the coverage. For example, I use Yandex Maps when I am driving in Russia, and Google Maps or Apple Maps when I am driving in Europe. And to be honest, now I prefer to use Apple Maps because they just have better UX now, great integrations with CarPlay and other parts of Apple ecosystem, and just nicer design. But let's check out Google Maps and Apple Maps in action. And you can share in the comments which maps do you prefer. Depending on which navigation application you opened last in CarPlay, it will be displayed on the main screen along with the quick route widget. For example, now Apple suggests me to go home because it thinks that it's a good option. Okay, and you have a quick button, you just click it, you see the route, and you can start navigation immediately. With Google Maps, you won't have the same quick buttons like home or work as you have for Apple Maps or for Yandex, for example. But you will have these quick shortcuts. The one will allow you to launch the Google Assistant. And another option will be quick navigation to the search where you can select some of your shortcuts. Also, if you have an event added to your calendar with added location for this event, you can quickly access it and navigate to this location easily. But the downside of this navigation for events is that it works only with Apple Maps. So you can't navigate to your event with Google Maps, Waze, or any other navigation application. Let's start our trip to the bright future. We have two ways to navigate to some event. For example, you can just go to your event, click it, and then start the guidance from here. You just need to select the best route that you think suits you best. Also, there is a suggestion mode. For example, when you open destinations in Apple Maps, there will be suggestions from Siri, for example, fly to bright future or your home location. Also, you will see the same kind of suggestion here on the dashboard, because in this case, Apple thinks that it makes sense for you to go to your event. Let's follow Apple's recommendations. In general, the layout of all navigation applications will be the same. Now you see it goes crazy because the GPS in Moscow is not working properly. So on the left side, if your steering wheel is on the left side, you will see the route guidance and the summary of your trip, when you will arrive, how much time left and how much kilometers left. On the right side, there will be some additional controls to zoom out or zoom in, to move your map if you want to move it with this weird way, or you can just swipe it. Also, you can quickly access the overview of your route or go back to tracking of your trip. What differs Apple Maps from other navigation application is that Apple has much closer integration with car onboard systems, because, for example, here in the Citroen, I can see the road guidance from Apple Maps on my head-up display. And it works in the same way on most of the cars. I've tested it before, but it never works with Google Maps or any other application for navigation. One of the coolest features you have in Apple Maps also is ability to share your ETA with someone. So to do that, you can just click this button and there will be an option share ETA. You select one of the contacts you have there, and it works in a way that if this person has an Apple ID attached to the contact you selected, a link to Apple Maps with your route and estimated time of arrival will be sent to this person. If it's only an SMS contact, then the person will receive updates with SMS messages. But in general, as you can see, everything is easy to reach with your outstretched hand while driving, so super cool. If you want to add some stops on your route, for example, you want to find a gas station, as always, there are multiple ways to do that. For example, you can open this menu and click Add Stop, select gas stations, and it will show you gas stations on the route, and also it will display the time which will be added if you will decide to go to this petrol station. And to be honest, on Apple Maps it works much better than on others, I mean in CarPlay. For example, on the Yandex Maps or on Google Maps, the UX here is super weird. Let's now switch to Google Maps to find the difference. And as always, you can use Siri to help you here. Get directions to Sheremetyevo International Airport with Google Maps.
I didn't find any matching places.
Get directions to Leningradskoye Highway with Google Maps.
I didn't find any matching places.
Get directions to Kremlin with Google Maps.
Getting directions to Moscow Kremlin using Google Maps.
So the only place Google knows in Moscow is Kremlin, but it doesn't work. One more time. Get directions to Kremlin with Google Maps.
Getting directions to Moscow Kremlin using Google Maps.
Okay, now it works. First, as you can see with Google, when you have multiple routes available, you can select them on the map. So you see them, you see the buttons here, but in order to switch between them, you need to click more routes and then use this selection. Kind of stupid. Let's start our navigation. If you don't want to go to Kremlin, but you still want to use voice navigation, you can always use built-in Google or any other built-in voice recognition. For example, let's still try to find our route to Moscow Airport. Sheremetyevo International Airport. I don't need Domodedovo, but whatever. Let's select Sheremetyevo. Let's start our guidance to Sheremetyevo. Now let's add some intermediate stop with Google Maps. For example, we need some coffee. And the problem is that you don't have the list of the stops, but you rather have to switch between them. And let's imagine you are driving, and it's not convenient at all. Instead of just seeing the list of 5 coffee shops on our way, we have to switch between different views, and also the map jumps, and it works in the same way on Yandex Maps. I'm not sure why they're doing it like that, but to be honest, I prefer the way how it works on Apple Maps. On the other hand, sometimes Google has better coverage for traffic jams or additional waypoints, or they have more detailed maps in some areas. Please share in the comments below which type of navigation you prefer while using CarPlay. Despite the age of messaging, calls are still an important part of our lives, especially while driving. And taking into account COVID and remote calls becoming a normal thing to do, CarPlay is quite useful here. To call someone, you can use both interface, where you will see your standard phone-like interface. You have your favorites opened by default, and for example, you can set up to have multiple shortcuts. Also, I can view some recent calls, check my contacts, just type in some phone or switch to voicemail. Additionally, as usual, you can use Siri. Call Elon Musk.
Calling Elon Musk, mobile.
And one of the annoying things you have here is, why is it switching actually to the full screen mode if it has the proper, nice dashboard view? That's stupid. From here, you usually have access to quickly muting yourself. I'm not sure why Elon Musk is not answering. Okay, never mind. And it will work in the same way if you will use Google Meet. Let's imagine you need to join an important Google Meet meeting, but you don't need to actively participate in it. So you can just listen to what's going on. It will work in the same way. You will have this nice view on your dashboard. You can quickly mute yourself or unmute if you want to say something. Yes, it's time to subscribe. I agree, my dear colleagues. Or you can jump off of the meeting if it's too boring for you. It works for Google Meet, for Skype, for Zoom, basically for any online video calling application. It works for your calls with WhatsApp, Telegram, for any type of calls. So thank God we still have ability to use our phones as phones. For those of you who want to break all possible laws and do messaging while driving, CarPlay can also help and kind of make it safer for you. Hey Siri, send message to Elon Musk. Tesla sucks. It works in the same way for your messaging applications like WhatsApp or Telegram or Messenger, and also you can send audio messages. Elon Musk answered something.
Elon said why and sent a crying emoji. Would you like to reply?
Yes,
What would you like to say to Elon?
because Tesla doesn't support Apple CarPlay.
It says, because Tesla doesn't support Apple CarPlay. Send it.
Yes,
Done.
but I suggest you to not doing it while driving and just get to your target location, stop, and then do the messaging, and don't do it while driving. There is also one more thing. Send an audio message to Elon Musk.
To Elon in messages, go ahead.
Elon, your Cybertruck just cut off my finger.
Would you like to play it or send it?
Play. Elon, your Cybertruck just cut off my finger.
Ready to send it to Elon.
Send.
It's sent.
Another way to spend your time while on the go is to listen to the music. And here you also have multiple options. Besides, obviously, Apple Music, you have multiple music applications. You can use Spotify or Yandex Music or YouTube Music or a bunch of other music applications. And most of the time it works in the same way. You need to have a subscription to the service, then you can play your music. You can, for example, add some music to your library or add some album, or like something, or use the shuffle mode while playing, or repeat the music, etc. Which of the services to use, it's obviously up to you. Apple has kind of smart application called Now Playing, which allows you to basically play any kind of audio from any type of sources. Nothing is playing now, but let's imagine that you will have something from Apple Music. Then you will go back to your dashboard and you will see Apple Music here. If you switch to another music application, let's go to YouTube Music, and again go to the dashboard, you will see it here. And by clicking Now Playing, you will be always navigated to the application which is the source of the music. In case you are playing music from Safari, for example, you will be just navigated to the plain page with the music from Safari. And as you can see here in YouTube Music, you have a like button, and it will work in the same way in most of the applications. One of the nice features added recently to Apple Music in CarPlay is a SharePlay feature. It allows your passenger, for example, to play his music while your phone is connected as the main one and is used for navigation. You need to open the Now Playing application, then click the SharePlay button, and both of you need to have an iOS 17 or higher. You can tap QR code to zoom in, for example, for the passengers from the back seat, and go to the music application. You will be invited to connect with your contact, and you need to confirm it from here. Now you can control music from your guest's phone. But you should take into account that you may get bored with passengers' music, so you need to be ready for it. And, for example, agree with the passenger that exactly in 13 minutes you will shut off his music. And here the functionality of reminders and working with calendar comes into the stage. Siri, remind me to stop listening to my passenger's boring music in 13 minutes. Stop listening to my messenger is boring music. Okay, I think I will figure it out. What does it mean? But it works. As usual with Apple, they have many integrations between bits of their ecosystem. So, in CarPlay, you have a separate calendar application that allows you to view the list of meetings for today with minimal details about it, and most importantly, the location of it, with ability to get the driving directions. Also, you can see your reminders that you created for yourself. And if you don't need some reminder anymore, you can click it and it will be marked as done. It can be super handy in some cases. Remind me to buy 3 kilos of potato today at 7 p.m. Thanks. In addition to the main applications, there are a huge number of additional scenarios for using CarPlay. All of them depend on whether the developer of the application took care of the adaptation to the requirements of Apple. Well, the application should also be safe to use while driving. And the question arises, when finally YouTube official application will be available on CarPlay? And the answer is simple, never. Because from Apple's and any reasonable person's point of view, watching videos while driving is not safe. Perhaps the application will appear when CarPlay 2.0 becomes more developed and, for example, you will be able to turn on movies for children on some additional screen, which is not accessible to the driver. I heard arguments that people need YouTube to listen to music from YouTube, but for these purposes you have YouTube Music application, which is available in CarPlay. From interesting applications, there are services for charging cars, for example, PlugShare, PlugSurfing, what else do I have? ZapMap, Shell Recharge. Also, some applications allow you to refuel the car through CarPlay interface. I know that American Chevron has such an option, but how to understand which apps on your phone support CarPlay? It's a good question that brings us to the settings. Few people know, but you can actually change the order of applications here. To do this, go to the iPhone menu in the settings, then open CarPlay. Find the right car there. Sometimes it can be difficult if you test a lot of cars like me. Then go to the CarPlay settings for a specific car, click Customize, and you can rearrange the items in your menu. For example, let's move PlugShare higher in the menu. Or let's move WhatsApp to the beginning of the page. It reflects changes immediately. Also, you can reset it to default order. You can hide some applications if you don't need them on your Apple CarPlay. Here you can see that all applications that are supported by CarPlay but are not shown here can be available in the More Apps section on your CarPlay settings. Another part of CarPlay related settings controlled by your phone is the driving focus mode. If you open all of your focus modes, there will be a new one called driving. You can set it up in a way when some people will be allowed to send you some notifications, all the rest will be silenced. For example, you can allow Elon Musk to send you some messages, or you can silence everything from Elon Musk and the rest of the people will be able to contact you. Also, you can allow calls from favorites if you want, or you can allow only your contacts to contact you, so it's pretty flexible. And also you can allow repeated calls, for example, when some delivery guy is trying to reach you. The rest of the settings are available directly through CarPlay interface. First of all, you can manage your driving focus to be activated with CarPlay. Also, you have the ability to announce messages, so Siri will read out the messages when you will receive it. You can change the appearance and use always dark mode, automatically adapt to the daylight situation, but I would prefer to switch back to dark mode. And you can also always show dark maps. You can change the background of your CarPlay. For example, let's select this one. You can manage settings of your silent mode. In this case, I've set it up to mirror my iPhone silent mode. You can manage Siri and suggestions in the dashboard. For example, it will suggest you to drive to a certain location of the event. You can skip the step of Siri asking you if you are ready to send a message and always send the messages right after you dictate them. You can show or hide album art for music. And there is a huge part about accessibility. So it was added just recently. For example, you can activate voice control, which will allow you to open certain application or scroll down the interface or tap some certain button. For example, tap bold text. You see? Tap color filters. And for color filters, you have various options. You can select grayscale, you can select various options depending on the type of the issues with the eyesight you have. Also, you can manage the intensity of it. Also, recently, Apple added one more accessibility feature, which allow you to be notified if your phone hears the sound of siren or beeping. It's for those who have issues with hearing, and it may be super useful. Using AI, it will find the sound of siren somewhere around you and will notify you on the screen of Apple CarPlay. Nice feature, but I'm not sure how you can use it in India, for example. As for the issues while using CarPlay, I already touched on some of them, but among other things, there is one issue with now playing application which is mentioned by a lot of people, which is autoplay. So basically sometimes when you plug in your phone, it automatically starts playing the music. And maybe Apple will someday solve this problem or at least allow you to control autoplay of music. To be fair, I noticed recently that maybe they adopted this behavior because as far as I can see on my setup, it autoplays only if the music was interrupted before. In addition, sometimes one can face issues with connection between your phone and CarPlay. In most cases, problems are solved by complete reset of the car-phone pair and repairing the devices. If you use the wire connection, it makes sense to check the integrity of the cable, and if not the original one is used, put the original one there. With the release of iOS 18, there were a lot of complaints about quality of the music. But as far as I know, the vast majority of the bugs has been fixed with one of the latest updates with iOS 18.1. Therefore, basically, if you have any issues with your iPhone, it works all the time, not only with CarPlay. First of all, never update to the 0 version of the new generation of any iOS. For example, if you want to install iOS 18, wait until they will fix all the bugs for 18.0. Then they will release 18.1, 18.2, and you will have much better experience with that. But anyway, if you have any issues with CarPlay, please share it in the comments below and we will try to solve it together. Finally, the most important point regarding the CarPlay 2.0. Last year, Apple presented the concept of new generation of CarPlay, which assumes full integration between car and your phone, including the use of Apple elements in UI, in the driver dashboard, in the main screen, and anywhere else. And you will have both beautiful navigation and climate control. Everything is beautiful, seamless, and cool. But a year has passed, and so far no one has implemented CarPlay 2.0. There were news that Porsche and Aston Martin promised to introduce CarPlay 2.0 functionality in their cars, and Porsche even showed some of the developments in their interfaces. But there is still no full integration, and it's absolutely understandable, because automakers are not ready to give full control over the car to the guys from Apple. Some companies even openly stated that they are not ready to trust either Apple or Google. For example, GM and Mercedes clearly expressed their position. But let's see where this road will bring us, and whether we will see some close integrations. Because, for example, climate management in a standardized format in old vehicles would be useful, instead of getting used to different options of interfaces you have in different cars. Or beautiful visualization of travel statistics would be nice to have in the cars. From unexpected closer integrations between car and CarPlay, recently on one of the Audis, I suddenly received a notification here that I had little fuel in my tank. It was a diesel car, not even an electric one. And Apple Maps carefully suggested that I will find a gas station on the way and refuel. That was nice. There are many more different aspects and nuances of using CarPlay, including setting up some automation. For example, I found a case about a guy who have set up the automation that when connecting CarPlay, phone checks the weather outside, and if it's below some certain level, it will give you alert that the roads may be slippery. In my opinion, it's kind of overhead because most of the modern cars already have this kind of notification if the temperature is below 4 degrees. And in general, you should be able to understand if the road is slippery or not by just going to the car without falling down, right? Let me know what you think about it. Nevertheless, now it's up to you. Share your thoughts about CarPlay. Write down a comment how useful this kind of detailed videos are for you, and do you want this kind of video about Android Auto, for example? And be sure to share this video with some of your blogs who don't know yet how to use CarPlay. Now watch video about future of car infotainment systems here, or watch something else here. And I will drive to the bright future and hope to see you all there. Safe driving, see you soon, bye.